Okay, it's 9 o'clock, so let me call our meeting to order. This is the December 18th, 2023 meeting of the Jackson County Board of Supervisors. You can see everyone is here except Mr. Beausarge. Randy Beausarge, District 5 was, what was it, Randy? COVID? Yesterday, and so he is going to attend the meeting via telephone. District 3 has the opening devotion prayer. I'm going to do that, and we recall T was at our last meeting and did such a fabulous job. I'm going to look at his 1-minute message from today, and we'll go through that. The holiday season is in full swing with lights, sweaters, fruitcakes, etc. But the Christmas season is lacking big time. Every year we go through this time of year clueless as to who we're supposed to be celebrating. The Apostle John's words are still echoing throughout the ages. He was in the world, and the world knew him not. He came into his own, and his own received him not. That's from John 1, verse 10 and 11. Thousands of years later, we're still struggling to grasp the significance of Jesus coming into the world. He was rejected back then, so let's remind the world today whose birthday it really is. And I would like to go to Isaiah 9, verse 6, as a prayer. This is one of my favorite verses, and I'll ask you to please bow your heads. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Amen. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I will remind us all that we have a 10 a.m. scheduled planning appeal that must occur at that point in time. Also, I have a general comment. Monica, are you here?
I am, sir.
There she is. She reminded me this morning that we need to celebrate a birthday. Our county, Jackson County, Mississippi, is 211 years old today, December the 18th. And did you say you're going to be outside at what time with some cake?
We're going to serve cake in this building this afternoon about 2.
This afternoon around 2. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is item number 4, recognition of Ms. Darcy Crew upon her retirement. Darcy, where are you? Let's go down and send Darcy off. Okay, Darcy is retiring after 5.5 years of service here in Jackson County. Since being hired as the county's Recreation Department Director in May of 2018, Darcy has represented the county with an exemplary level of professionalism and dedication. Under Darcy's leadership, county recognition recreation facilities such as the West Jackson County Complex, Jackson County Soccer Complex, and Lumcumbus Park experienced significant expansions and/or improvements. New programs were also developed for our seniors, youth, and outdoor enthusiasts. Additionally, as the Pascagoula River Blueway connection becomes a reality, we will be reminded of Darcy's vision and passion of encouraging people to get out and enjoy the natural resources of Jackson County. Her dependability, forthrightness, and friendship will be remembered and appreciated most by those who have been privileged to work closely with Darcy over the years. This board is grateful to Darcy for her loyalty and distinguished service to Jackson County over the years and wish her the best in all of her future endeavors. We congratulate you on the retirement and thank you.
I was going to say that I was so excited this morning to see how many people came, and then I realized that on the agenda it was really just about the RV park. But I did want to say a few things, and so I've got them on my phone so I can keep myself on track. First of all, I want to thank Brian and the Board of Supervisors for hiring me for the position and always supporting me in my role. Not only just through the budget, but for also just always being in the corner for recreation, to see, and embrace the vision that we had for recreation, and it just means a lot to work for people who see the value in what you do. We had a little party at for our Christmas party last Friday, and some of the department heads came, and lots of people that I work with came to kind of see me off there too, so the celebration continues. But I didn't thank Joe O'Neill with the road department. Couldn't ask for a better partner in all of our endeavors. For every time I've called, Joe, the ice cream machine still hasn't been delivered. It's on its way, but the partnership just means a lot to me. And the same with the other department heads. Rhonda with solid waste, Kelly with maintenance, Legal's been truly amazing and always our guiding light. Information systems, human resources, purchasing, finance, all the departments that I get to work with every day they're top notch. And anytime we came up with an idea or something else we wanted to do, they always figured out a way for us to be able to make it happen. And it's really important to work with a team like that. Of course, to some of my staff that are here today too, the unwavering support and your dedication to the citizens of Jackson County is it's amazing to see how much they want to do and continue to endure for the citizens of Jackson County. To say they work hard is absolutely an understatement. They've made me a better person in the last 5.5 years, and I thank them for that. And last but not least, to my family. You've sacrificed many things over the years to see me grow and prosper in my career. Your love and encouragement along the way has given me purpose and has fueled me to do good things for our family. So I got a little funny story to tell you, and some of you have heard this little story. So when I decided I wanted to go to school for recreation, to get my bachelor's degree in recreation, my dad said, what is that? Is that even a career? And he was like, what are you going to go? Do you learn to play ping pong, or what are you going to do? And so then later I came to the South. That's how one of the ways I ended up in the South was to pursue my education, and I wanted to get my education in public administration. And he said, oh, so now you're going to school to get your master's so you can learn how to keep score. But he truly was, we lost him this year, but he truly was proud of me. in all of our endeavors. And it was very important to me to say thank you in front of you all today for my mom, my dad, my siblings, my aunts, uncle, you know, the whole family, my kids. More important, that they've sacrificed a lot to see me do a lot of things in Jackson County to just try to do good things for our citizens. But thank you for the opportunity to work with all of you. I'm going to miss you. But I won't be far, just down the street. And the partnerships that have been created with people like 4-H and the YMCA and different organizations through the years have been formed here are far too important to let go. So I'll forever be at your service. So just call me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move item 5 on the agenda is amendments to the agenda. Mr. Cumbest?
I don't have any.
Weren't you going to move an agenda item?
Oh, Brian is.
Okay, good. Mr. Morris?
I don't have any.
I have one I would like to add to the executive session, some discussion about Singing River Health System. Mr. Ross?
None.
Mr. Bosarge?
None.
Mr. Eldridge?
None.
Mr. Fulton?
I'd like to pull item E under County Administrator from the consent agenda for a separate vote, please.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill? Ms. McDonald? Any others with amendments? Sure.
I have to amend the docket.
Amendment to the docket, and we have a document for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we will need a motion to,
Yeah, I've got one more.
I'm sorry?
An amendment to consent agenda, County Administrator, item C. We need to replace the resolution with the one that I handed out this morning. It was about a drainage easement deed, and there was a typo on one of them, so we're just going to remove it.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Any other amendments to the agenda? Okay, if not, then we need a motion to approve the amendments.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Cumbest, seconded by Mr. Morris. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 6 on the agenda is a notice to increase the assessment of real or personal property.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to make that happen.
Mr. Taylor, do you want to call out the name in case someone's here?
Sure. Yeah, this is for Dina's Pawnbrokers and More at 1737 Highway 613 in Moss Point. The property PIN number is 1020. That's Dina's Pawnbrokers and More, 1737 Highway 613 in Moss Point. Is anyone here to represent her? Okay. Then we'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cumbus, seconded by Mr. Morris. Is there any discussion on that? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. We'll go to item number 7, general public comments. And let me make a statement here. Our next item is the supervisor's item where the board is going to take up the RV resort issue. And at our last meeting 2 weeks ago, we held a 6-hour meeting, and everyone that wanted to have any comment at all was allowed to do that. At this meeting today, well, at that meeting, we did not take any action. We asked the legal team to go do some research and report back to us on what the motion should look like, and that has happened. So we're kind of too late to allow any comment from the public, but we're in the agenda item right now of general public comment. So if there's anyone here, I have only one person that is signed up. If anyone is here that would like to comment about the RV resort, this is the time that you should do it. We don't want to get into an hours-long meeting again because we've already covered just about everything, but I invite anyone that wants to comment to come forward. The only person that has signed up is Mr. Jimmy Zednick. Would you come forward, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Jimmy Zinnick. My address is 7500 Lake Ridge Drive. Been residing there 43 years. I would like to address the point that special circumstances for exception to the zoning requirements for the PUD are not the results of the applicant. Applicant did not purchase the property until November of 2022 at a much reduced price. After just one short year, they come to us requesting a change to the zoning. Floodplain elevation was not changed after their purchase. Insurance rates have increased for all residents of Jackson County, residents, not just the proposed developers. Residential characteristics have not changed during the 12 months of their ownership. This development is not in harmony with the Gulf Park Estates community, as evidenced by verified owners and residents of the community signing a petition against the development in the neighborhood that is being impacted. This petition has been verified with impacted resident signatures. No unnecessary hardship which would warrant this special exception of zoning being changed has been shown by the plaintiffs or their attorney during the 12 months of their ownership. No RV is permitted for residential living in a PUD. Right now, the Biloxi Bay is permitting long-term stays for up to 6 months. The developer has said there will be some long-term stays. This should never happen in Gulf Park Estates. If the supervisors do the job they were elected to do, they will listen to the voice of the community that is impacted, not letters from politicians.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? If so, please come forward.
I'm Donald Bucksbaum, B-U-C-H-S-B-A-U-M. I own the home at 9009 Seacliff Boulevard and the adjacent Lot 4. I just want to make a comment about the last meeting. I thought it was pretty disappointing in the sense that the applicants personally went after the presenter from the group, Eamon, and I was a little surprised that there wasn't any sort of second on the motion by Mr. Bozart. The people really spoke from their heart. They really tried to explain their situation and the reasons they were opposed to it. And it was the young man who went into the Army, or was going into the Army, that spoke. I saw him as he left. I wanted to congratulate him on his participation, but I felt so bad for him and the look on his face that I didn't do it. And I don't have any specific items other than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Hi, my name is Eamon Mahedin. My address is 1219 Monticello Boulevard. The Board of Supervisors is elected not only to evaluate legal arguments, but also arguments that aren't necessarily legal, such as what do the people want. Over the last couple of months, the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission have seen the will of the people. They know, simply put, people don't want anything to do with an RV park in their neighborhood. So that being said, the Board of Supervisors, while of course this is a legal matter, should also consider what are the concerns of the people. The concerns of the people, are they a legal argument or not? That's debatable. But in their heart, they know that this is bad for their community, and they know, as residents of that community, that if they don't want it, that there's good reason why. So we respectfully ask you guys to, once again, whenever the people ever come up before you guys, it's not just us, but for any group of people, just consider really what their concerns are and to think about it and ponder it and then ask God for guidance on it. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, no one else. We will then move on to the next item, which is our item, supervisor items, planning appeal, Ocean Springs Islands RV Resort LLC. As everyone knows, we met on this 2 weeks ago for an extended period of time. Excuse me, cell phones off, please, mine included. And we heard from all sides. The supervisors elected to not take any action at that meeting pending our legal department to do some research and give us some advice on what a motion should look like. So I think that's where we are at this moment. So I'm going to ask, is there a motion to on this item?
Yeah. Mr. Taylor, I have one.
I'd like to make a motion, my same motion I made 2 weeks ago, to overturn the Planning Commission's decision and deny the RV park. That's my motion.
Okay. I think everyone has heard the motion. Is there a second to the motion? We need a second to that motion.
Let me remind everybody that there's over 2,200 residential units down there, and you had 1,800 people sign the petition. So I would say the numbers speak for themselves.
Okay, is there a second to the motion? Okay, 3 efforts to get a second to the motion fails, so the motion fails. Is there any other motions?
Yes, sir. I have a motion, Mr. Taylor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the special exception for the following 6 reasons. 1, it will promote the public health and safety and the general welfare of the community. 2, it will not adversely affect adjacent properties. 3, a literal interpretation of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other residents of the district. And 4, A literal interpretation of the ordinance would work an unnecessary hardship upon the applicant.
Let me ask you to pause a moment as some people are leaving the meeting. Okay, thank you.
Number 5, the special exception will be in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood. And number 6, the special exception is not the result of the actions of the applicant.
Okay, we have a motion. We need a second. I'll second it. Discussion. I think it's important that we go through some of the facts that were discussed a couple of weeks ago to be sure that we all understand what we're doing. Number one, the property was zoned as a PUD in 2001 with a master plan approved in 2006. That master plan was for a resort community consisting of hundreds of condos, townhomes, villas, a 200-room hotel, a conference center, a golf course, and commercial space. The intent of that master plan was to provide a means to develop the area while taking advantage of the natural landscape and offering residents and tourists options to enjoy the natural resources of the area. In 2009, the base flood elevations, this is following Katrina, obviously, the base flood elevations were increased, which affected the property, a large portion of which is now located in the VE zone. The change in flood zone created an unnecessary hardship for the development of the property, created impracticable building height restrictions, and increased insurance costs, among other things. An RV resort type development is actually recommended by FEMA for floodplain areas since RVs are temporary and can be removed if there is a storm. The special exception fits the original purpose of the master plan and will offer tourists and residents the option to enjoy those natural resources in a manner that promotes the public health, safety, health, and general welfare of the community by minimizing risks related to flooding that may happen in the VE zone and within the limit of a moderate wave action. Without exception, there are simply too many hardships which make development of this property extremely difficult and impractical. The special exception will not alter the essential character of the locality, as presently the neighborhood's character is diverse, consisting of a variety of zoning uses. There are rental properties, restaurants, boat storage, bars, Dollar General, condos, etc. There will also be a buffer as required by the ordinance. Nearby adjacent property, just 2 blocks away, is presently zoned R4, where RV parks are allowed by right. Without the special exception, the property would likely continue outside the stream of commerce of the county. The special exception is not a violation of the county zoning ordinance, and in fact, it fits within our zoning ordinance as a similar use to what was previously approved. Based on this and everything discussed at the public hearing, the applicant met its burden of proof and granting the special exception is in the best interest of the citizens of Jackson County. Anyone on the board like to add a comment?
I had two, and they were things that we kind of picked up on, or what are the overriding concerns about the development and what could be done to mitigate those concerns. And one was somewhat tying the construction of the road, which we now as a board know it should be a priority and is going to be a priority, but largely because of all the talk about this project and then folks bring it to mind. So I remember we talked that day that there was some type of a one-year timeline or something where we could try to manage the construction of the road for us along with the construction of the project. I'd like for that to be part of the approval, the special use, and also a mandatory 48-hour evacuation in the light of a named storm coming into the Gulf where we're in the cone of uncertainty. And if anyone has issues one way or the other with those, we can talk about them, but those are the two things I'd like to be interwoven into the motion.
I would be a little concerned about the road progress. Obviously, the bridge needs to be shored up, but, you know, road projects can take quite some time, and hopefully we'd be finished and by the time they get ready to open up, but I'd hate to tie that exactly with those two things together, so that's just my opinion. I don't have a vote, obviously.
You know.
What is the reasonable amount of time that this road could tie to y'all's project? Do y'all have a time on that? 12 months?
I think we can certainly work with the 12 months.
Okay. So let's frame it in a 12-month way that matches up to what they think is reasonable.
Okay, now, but what are we saying about what will happen in a 12-month period? I think Brian makes some very good points.
Yeah, weather plays a big part of what.
You never know what's going to happen in the road and bridge world. Today's priorities may not be tomorrow's priorities, although we all recognize that this is. What are we saying would happen in the 12-month period?
I would think we could make a commitment to, Adam Dial of 9880 Briarcrest Lane, Vancouver, representing Ocean Springs Island RV Resort LLC. I would think we could make a commitment, or we would be willing to make a commitment that, you know, we wouldn't open anything prior to 12 months from today, if that's acceptable.
I think that fits the intent, but I'm just wanting to make sure that we don't have something open that puts more of a strain on an already strained road until we've already gotten a head start on completion of some of it, or at least a lot of it. So that works.
Okay, but I still don't understand what that means. What will happen at 12 months?
I would say we would commit to not begin operation of an RV park before 12 months from today, is what I was willing to make that commitment if that suits the needs of the supervisor.
Okay, that means you would not have any customers come into the newly opened RV park a year from today?
Yes, prior to a year from today.
I don't see any problem with that. That does not speak to the condition of the road, which I think is Troy's concern.
Right. It's given us it gives us a year.
It just gives us a head start.
Okay.
Isn't the road going to take 4 years to complete?
Yeah, y'all have a phase of 4 years.
4 years.
Hold on. You're messing up her. You can't, hold on.
If the road is funded on a path in which it was going to be funded, it would take 4, 5, 6 years. But if we speed that up and actually fund it at a quicker rate, it could be a lot shorter than that.
But there's nothing in existence today that says that road, and what is the definition for that road, will be completed within a year.
No, it won't be completed in a year. But you'll at
And
least have that
everyone-
first phase underway.
Everyone understands that.
Right.
Brian, are you okay with that?
I think what Adam said would work.
Okay.
You'd have to talk to Joe about the timeline for roads, but,
Yeah.
Yeah, those discussions have not even begun yet.
You're referring to the first phase, Troy?
Right.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing is to get the bridge shored up, I think is the main first thing.
And go after ERBR funds for the rest of the road. I mean, if we get ERBR funds, and then all, that thing gets sped up dramatically.
Okay, what do? We need
Okay.
to vote to amend the motion and put that condition in, correct?
Ask Barry to amend his motion.
Just amended for that motion. You got it, April? Okay,
Okay.
April's got it, that's all.
Legal is happy with the wording?
Yeah.
Okay. Need a second?
You second.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign?
No.
Okay, Mr. Bossarge opposes that motion. Okay, the second item was, Mr. Ross, you had two conditions.
I thought when y'all agreed with the amendment, we were good. I think, wasn't that included?
Yeah.
48-hour
Yeah.
mandatory evacuation? Okay, and I don't think there was any question on that, was there? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we're
Okay,
good.
so we voted on both of those amendments? Okay.
So it's approved with the two amendments.
It is approved with the two amendments. Okay, is,
Are you directing legal to prepare an order that reflects everything you've read today with those amendments?
I was going to do that after we voted.
Okay.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, is there any further discussion?
Yes, I have something to add. So, I'm gonna need a commitment from the board, since this is passed. There's gonna be some other roads that lead down to that area while the bridge is under construction. And we're gonna need quite a few road improvements to handle, the other way in and out down south. So I'm gonna be asking the board to, probably for some extra additional funds to, improve like Point of Shane's, Fountain Blue. We're going to have some other road improvements that we don't have budgeted for this year or for 2024. We're going to have some other funds to improve some of those roads. So I'm just putting that out there to say, hey, Joe and I is going to be asking probably for some additional funds to make some other roads more accessible for these potential RVs and the general public's traffic and flow in and out. We're gonna need some more road improvements down there that we don't have budgeted.
And obviously, that needs to be worked totally through Mr. O'Neill, who is sitting out there nodding his head, so. Okay. That is not part of any motion, however. It is a reminder. Okay, are there any other discussion items? Ms. Legal, have we covered pretty much, you think, what we need to cover?
I got it.
Okay, then let's vote. Mr. Cumbest, how do you vote?
You voted.
I'm sorry?
You voted, you're good. You just need to direct April and them to draft an order based on.
When did we vote on it? In the very beginning?
No. You voted after the road discussion and clarification. It was 4-1. Supervisor Bossarge.
Okay, I thought we were just voting to amend the motion then.
No, I don't think we had to vote to amend the motion as long as you two agreed. So I think that's where the confusion happened right there.
Supervisor Cumbest amended his motion to include those two that Troy mentioned. And then you made the second, and then all in favor, and Randy opposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm satisfied then, good. Okay, so we have taken action and we have approved it. And now we will certainly ask legal to take all that we have discussed, condense it into the proper order, and we will sign that as soon as it hits our desk. Okay, thank everyone very much for being civil and real and honest. Okay, I remind everyone that we have a 10 o'clock pre-scheduled planning appeal that we must do at 10 o'clock. We'll move now to item number 9, the consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Morris. Need a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, like sign. Okay, we need to, the item that was pulled.
So item E, from the county administrator.
Yeah, let the record show that I recused myself, Mr. Taylor.
Okay. Okay, we have removed item C.
Item E.
E. Item E from the county administrator. Resolution awarding bid to C. Roberts General Contractor LLC for the Crisis Stabilization Unit project. That is now a separate item. Let the record show that Mr. Cumbest has excused himself from the meeting. And we'll need a motion for that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
By Mr. Ross, seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Like sign. Motion carries.
All right, I'll send Mary in. I'll send her in.
Sure. Let the record show that Mr. Cumbest has returned to the meeting, and also let the record show that Mr. Ross has excused himself from the meeting for item number 10, which is the consent agenda number 2. So we need a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion from Mr. Cumbest, seconded by Mr. Morris. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Ross is returning to the meeting. And we will move to item number 11 on the agenda, which is department heads. First of all is Mr. Eldridge, our Chancery Clerk.
Yes, I have before you a resolution awarding the bid for the county depository. The highest bid was the First Bank at a fixed rate of 5.05% in year 1, and year 2, 4.45%, for a total blended rate of 4.75%. And then naming the other bidders as secondary depositories.
So moved.
Second.
Who was that second?
I second it.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Ross. Is there any discussion on that item? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Finance, Ms. Wells.
Good morning. The first item I have is the order approving the claims docket with the amendment.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Cumbest. Need a second.
Second.
seconded by Mr. Morris. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, the second item I have is the resolution authorizing the interfund loans for fiscal year September 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, Mr. Morris, seconded by Mr. Bossarge. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Last item I have is the resolution authorizing the operating transfers for fiscal year September 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ross, I will second it. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Mr. O'Neill.
Good morning. The item I have today, a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Jackson County, Mississippi, accepting a petition for acceptance of Teresa Rose Lane in District 1.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Cumbus, seconded by Mr. Morris.
And I need 2 supervisors to inspect.
You put me down.
Okay, Mr. Morris and Mr. Ross. Any discussion on that item? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Mr. Taylor, while Joe is up there, can we just go ahead and get a report on our couple of road projects we've been reporting on for the last couple of weeks?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're hoping that Seaman Road is open today. We were trying to get it open Friday. The contractor ran into a couple of problems, hit a water line, and then their striping outfit broke down. So hopefully it's going to be done today. Old Fort Bayou, they're doing a little shoulder work, a little dress-up work and striping, and I think that'll be done. It's come on pretty good. Cook, Tucker, looks like all they've got left is striping and a little cleanup work, and that project will be done. So we're at the end on those 3 projects, I think, within the next week or by the first of the year here. So.
Hey, Joe, those left-hand turning lanes that are there on the old part of Cook Road, what are those areas going to be removed, you know?
I would imagine once they get signage up, once they get their signage up, they'll be able to open those up.
Okay.
Anything else, anybody?
Anything else, Mr. Bossarge?
That's great. Thanks, Joe.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go to item number 13, the Jackson County Extension Office. Can you give us a end-of-year report within 10 minutes?
Yes, sir.
All right.
How are you all? Thank you all for taking the time out this morning to allow us to present our annual report to you all. All right, so as you all are aware, last year our theme was Growing Stronger Together. I wanted to be able to increase visibility for Extension and for 4-H, and I think that we have done so. Our theme for this year is Jackson County Extension Office. We are the new shipbuilders of Jackson County. As you all can see, of course, we all have the same staff, fully staffed. We have increased our membership, our partnership. We are all about increasing relationships and partnerships. As you all can see, those are the partnerships that we have created. Our programmatic focus area, again, we have our youth development program, which is our 4-H program, our agriculture, natural resources, our family consumer sciences, and our nutrition, health, and wellness. So I am the Jackson County 4-H agent, and these are some of my babies that you all can see. For our accomplishments this year, we have the only certified 4-H kayak club on the coast, And we have the second certified kayak club in the state here in Jackson County. We also had 3 members of our 4-H shooting sports program, which is our firearms/archery program. They completed in the 2023 state invitationals. We currently have 18 active 4-H certified volunteers. In 2022, we only had 7, so there has been an increase in that. And for our youth horse club and our livestock club, I'm gonna let our ag agent briefly go over that real quick.
So with our Ropes and Reins Horse Club this year, we had the overall placing team in a team demo, and they qualified for the Western National Roundup in Denver, Colorado. We had 4 members place in the top 10 of their showmanship classes at the Mississippi State Fair, which is a major accomplishment with probably 30-plus kids within their divisions. And then this year's Jackson County Livestock Show at our county fair, we had 14 members, all being 4-H members, showing about 20 total livestock entries.
All right, so we had over 5,500 clientele contacts for the 4-H program for 2023. Our new 4-H clubs for 2023, of course, we had our 4-H kayak club, our sports fishing club, our robotic STEM club. We also have a cooking club that I would love to have you all judge our babies when they submit their monthly submissions. And we also have an art and photography club. Our upcoming club for 2024, we have our crochet club, and we also will start our Cloverbud Club, which will be geared towards our younger kids for ages 5 to 7 years of age. And this goes into our agriculture and our natural resources.
So this year we just had about 14 new interns complete the Master Gardener program this fall. They will begin their services in January. They are continuing to do projects across the county. They have created around 3,500 contacts across the county as well, especially going to Fresh Market. They go and they give out educational flyers from the Extension Office and about Master Gardeners. They completed around 1,500 hours of service in total as a group. Our Cattlemen's Association, we have about 50 total members. We are a joint association with George County as well. We sponsored 2 meetings this past year. At one of those meetings, we were thankfully sponsored by the Jackson County Farm Bureau Board. They sponsored our meal, and we had Senate District Jennifer Branning come and speak on how to kind of establish your estate and get that for your future family members, get that ready. So in our ag and natural resources, I was able to see, if not pass out information to around 8,200 clientele over the course of the year. I always conduct home visits when requested. Those, of course, have slowed down with the cooler weather and dying grass. But we also offer programming within the school districts as well. I have currently 2 school districts. St. Martin High School, I am doing a horsetails curriculum, as well as wings in Van Cleve Upper Elementary.
Good morning. So, I'm probably the senior of the group. I've been here the longest, about 13 years now. And so these are some of my accomplishments, and I have almost doubled my clientele contacts this year to over 2,500 client contacts for family and consumer sciences. I've been doing a lot of work in the St. Martin elementary schools, east and north. I've taught etiquette. I've taught a new program that's called Choose Health, Food, Fun, and Fitness. I've also done a lot of, and will continue to do a lot of emergency preparedness. We have several programs from the Mississippi State, from Dr. Ryan Akers, Pillowcase Project, Prepare with Pedro, which teaches our young people how to be ready for an emergency. I saw the fit for that program because of the tornadoes in Moss Point, and many of our kids now do not know what it's like to even be in a thunderstorm or a hurricane because they haven't seen one. So I teach them how to be prepared for house fires as well as thunderstorms and hurricanes. I also still work with our MHB clubs. We have 3 active clubs, 2 in Moss Point, 1 in Goshen. Blooming Magnolia, Rubicon, and Goshen and Beyond. And as you can see, these ladies have given us over 13,000 volunteer hours. And when you calculate that into money, that's about $305,000 of volunteer hours that they give us each year. And I also have a club, which is called the DIY Craft Club, which I'm teaching young people how to do basic crafts as well as sewing, which is a lost art. And so all I say is just thank you for your support, continued support of our programs here in Jackson County.
All right, so again, thank you all for your support. We appreciate you all, and again, I will be calling you all the first part of the year to judge those monthly recipes that our cooking club will be able to prepare for you all. So thank you all, and have a blessed Christmas holiday.
Thank you.
Very good report. Thank you so much. Okay, 3 or 4 minutes is not enough for Singing River Services, probably any of them. Item 14, Brian, do you have any action items?
I can do a few items real quick on their state delegation mainly. As you know, the legislative session will begin right after the first of the year in January. The Coast Reception is the Wednesday night on the 3rd. And we're working on our funding agenda. You have most of the projects that we've submitted, but we're going to package that up, and we'll let you have a chance to review that before we meet with our delegation up there for funding opportunities. Jim Underwood is here from LaPointe Krebs Foundation. They had a request for a local and private to increase the amount that we provide to LPK from $50,000 a year to $75,000 a year. We had thought that the repealer was up during this year's session, but actually the legislation that we have now carries us all the way into 2025 at the $50,000 rate. And so we did not include that in our local and private action items that we've done so far. I know Mr. Underwood and other, you may want to come up real quickly. They have done some work and have talked with Manley Barton and actually want to try to advance that request this year rather than waiting for the repealer to expire next year. And so, Jim?
So, yeah, that's you. I think, you know, I'm Jim Underwood. We've talked about this previously, and I did talk to Manley about the local and private bill expiration date of 2025, and he said that, you know, typically that's not a problem for them to modify or amend those local and private bills. And so, I mean, what we're asking is to you guys to consider getting that, if it's possible, getting a resolution passed to amend the limit within the local and private, where it is currently at 50,000, getting that amended to not more than 75,000. That will enable in the future, give us, you know, the opportunity for you guys to support us with additional funding. And that's essentially the crux of why I'm here.
Good. Okay, when would we take this up?
We can't take it up today, but if you all, if there's a consensus that we need to take it up to try to do that, I can bring it something for you at the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll need to get legal to kind of help me with the wording, since it's a little different than what we typically do. We'll have to change the repeal date and the dollar amount, but we can get something in front of you next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll take it up next week?
Yes, next meeting.
And the reason being is because, as you probably are aware, I wasn't, you know, the sooner they have that stuff in hand up there,
Sure.
it's
Sure.
for them.
Okay, great.
We do have the benefit of a longer session this time. There'll be a 4-month session rather than 3, so we should have plenty of time to meet deadlines for local and private issues.
Okay, good.
And I have a few other things, but I'll wait till after the.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Mr. Marcus, 10 o'clock.
Sir.
Good morning. On October the 18th of this year, the Planning Commission heard the application VARI 09-2023-00137 for a 2-foot rear yard setback variance of the required 10-foot for a storage building that was being constructed. The applicant was Mark Burlingame. He's also the property owner. The property is zoned A1 General Agricultural, and it's approximately 1.25 acres in size. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area. The applicant submitted a site plan when the structure was permitted, showing that the setbacks were met. Since Mr. Burlingame and the adjoining property owner, Mr. Vaughn, they've been in a property line dispute over the property lines, and it's been determined that the structure is 2 foot closer to the property line than what is required. So the planning department did recommend approval of the request. On the basis of the approval was that the 2 feet would not be injurious to the neighborhood because Mr. Vaughn had 92.5 acres behind it, and he didn't have anything on that side of the property, so we didn't feel that it would be injurious to the neighborhood. And I believe Mr. Vaughn is here to represent this application. Okay. No, sir. You're.
Good morning. I'm Foley Ranson. I represent Mr. Vaughn. We submitted a written report setting out the basis for our position in this. There actually was no site plan in the Planning Commission's file. What was called the site plan appeared to be some drawings taken off the internet that had no specific application to this matter. You can read my report, which I think sets out everything that I want to say, but Mr. Burlingame applied for a residential building permit for the construction of a shop as an accessory building to his home at 14500 Ramsey Oaks Drive in Van Cleve. He received and signed for the list of building requirements on that same date. One of the requirements, number A7 out of the ordinance, requires that a site plan, which includes a legal survey indicating the property and setback lines, the building footprint and distance from the property, septic tank and drain field locations, water well location, driveway culverts, and other site features. That list of requirements was not met. There was no site plan. Requirement number A8 for residential building permits requires construction documents. It says which shall reflect the 2018 International Residential Code and be prepared by a registered design professional. And it would include, among other things, specifications and scale drawings of the foundation plan and details of the floor plans. There was no scale drawings in the application. And there was no drawings prepared by a registered design professional as required by the ordinance. Also, the planning department's file does not indicate that any inspections were done at this property. Now, the planning department issued a building permit on September 8, 2022 to Mr. Burlingame as owner and contractor. An electrical permit was issued to County Line Electric on November 28th, approximately 3 months later. Now, the Jackson County zoning ordinance requires a rear yard setback for accessory buildings in this zone at 10 feet. No one has provided a survey in this case, but the variance application requests a variance of 2 feet, which suggests that the building in question is approximately 8 feet more or less from Mr. Burlingame's rear property line. Now, Section 9.15C of the zoning ordinance provides that in cases of exceptional topographical conditions or other extraordinary situation or condition of a specific piece of property, which is not self-created, that's underlined in my report here, not self-created, and would result in undue hardship, then a setback variance may be allowed. Now, in the definition section of the zoning ordinance, the term variance, the definition of variance is a modification of the literal provisions of this ordinance which the Planning Commission is permitted to grant when strict enforcement of said provisions would cause undue hardship. It does state such a hardship cannot be self-created or of an economic nature. Now, this hardship that Mr. Burlingame claims was self-created because he didn't get a survey. He didn't meet any of the requirements of the ordinance for a site plan. And he didn't get any inspections when he built this building. Now, the zoning ordinance requires that the building permit applicant must provide a survey indicating property and setback lines, a building footprint, and the distance from the property lines. He must also provide construction documents prepared by a registered design professional, as I stated earlier. So that none of these requirements were met. The building is not in compliance with the ordinance. This alleged hardship was self-created because he didn't follow any of the requirements in putting this building up. So we have exactly a situation where self-created hardship is what's causing this problem. I also point out that the recorded covenants of Ramsey Oaks Estates subdivision requires a 25-foot setback from the rear lot line. As I state, this is another indication of the applicant's failure to consult or abide by the published building requirements and restrictions in Jackson County. So I've got the ordinance attached, and the sections that I've quoted are attached to the written document that I filed with the Planning Commission. So we'd ask that the request for variance be denied. Any questions?
Questions? Okay. Anyone else here in favor? Anyone here opposed? Come forward, please.
Good morning. My name is Mark Burlingame. I live at 14500 Ramsey Oaks Drive. I purchased a property from Kenneth Vaughn about a year and a half ago. He walked around the property with me when I bought the place and told me where the property lines was according to his telephone poles that he's got planted in the back of around the property and stuff across the back. I went by what he had showed me and put my string up to where it was supposed to be at according to what he showed me and pulled my variances off of that string. He come by that house for 13 months straight before he filed a complaint. If he knew there was something wrong with that building beforehand, he had been by every day for over 13 months and never once stopped until the building was completed. And then he wanted to make an issue about it, sir.
Now, you put it where you thought it was okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
From what he had showed me when we walked around before I'd done the final purchase of the property.
Okay.
And he had told us where the septic tank's at, which is up there by the house in front of our driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And everything. The pump house is sitting if you're standing in front of the building that I built, the pump house is sitting to the right of the building, about 15 to 20 feet. And so when I constructed the building, I'd done it off of what he had showed me.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just to clarify some of that, Mr. Foley mentioned that the covenants required 25 feet. Of course, we don't enforce covenants. Our zoning ordinance requires 10 foot. He did submit a site plan showing that he was going to be 15 foot off the property line. But of course, this is a property line dispute between the two property owners. So he did submit what he was required to submit to the planning department to pull his building permit.
Now, what did planning do with this, Marcus?
Sir?
What did planning do with this?
What did we do
The
with
planning
it?
commission, did they okay?
They voted to approve it, yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
Unanimously,
okay.
yes, sir.
So is it, Marcus, is there a dispute on where the actual property line is, or was there just a mistake on where the property line was?
Actually, the property owner in question here bought the property from the person appealing it, Mr. Vaughn. Mr. Vaughn showed him supposedly where the property lines were. That's where he pulled his foundation off of that, you know, where he thought was 15 foot. Well, it turns out one corner of it is 2 foot too close to the property line. So it's 10 foot, and actually it's not a property line, it's an easement. It's 2 foot, you know, into the easement that he's too close, if that makes sense. I may have a site plan in here. Or maybe not. This is a plan of the building. Come again?
About 3 or 4 pages down, it shows 13 feet on one corner and 8 foot down. Right there. Right there.
You want to come find it, Amanda?
About 13 foot,
Yeah.
right, 8.
Okay, here it is right here, 13 foot, one corner, 8 foot, the other corner of the required 10 feet. So he's 2 foot too close on this corner of the building.
Okay. Okay.
And like he said, you know, we didn't know this till the building's constructed. You know, Mr. Vaughn called and complained a year later and, that it was too close.
Okay. Okay.
If I could just say one thing, you're required to have a survey so that you don't put yourself in this situation. When it's required, there's no survey done. And this is a subdivision, all the corners are marked. I don't know if he just didn't want to pay for a survey or whatever, but the fact is that he didn't do what the ordinance required him to do. He didn't meet the requirements of the county, and that's what caused this problem. It's a self-created problem, therefore he's not entitled to relief in those circumstances.
And this is a platted subdivision. We don't need a survey for a platted subdivision. We, you know, we accept a drawing with them telling us how far off the property line they're going to be. If we had everybody that was going to build an accessory building pull a survey on that, you know, I mean, that surveys are $700-800 to get a survey, and I don't think we'd be able to do that. But it is a platted subdivision, so they know where the property lines are.
Marcus, hey.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so since all this has transpired and before it went to the planning commission, has either property owner paid a professional surveyor for a registered survey?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Has either one of the property owners, since they brought it to the planning commission, Has either one of them had a registered survey done to establish where the actual lines are?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So,
Sounds like we need to get that done to make sure he is or not, over the property line or under the property line or whatever. Seems like somebody needs to get a licensed surveyor to go out there and actually find the actual survey corners.
yeah, I understand. The planning commission, after they heard this, they felt that, this property back here is Mr. Vaughn's property. And he's got 90-plus acres of property back here. And this is the subdivision. As you see, this little line here is an easement. The shed, which you can't see on this, is built right back here in the corner. And it's just 2 foot into this easement. It's still 8 foot from the property line on one corner and 13 foot from the property line on the other corner. It's just 2 foot into this little easement here.
Okay.
And there's nothing, Mr. Vaughn has nothing over here. This is all wooded property.
So the planning commission voted, let him leave it where it's at. That's just.
They voted unanimously to approve the variance. Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else? Has everyone spoken that would like to speak? Come on.
How's everybody doing today? So I'm David Sutherland. I live at the house with the
Identify yourself.
David Sutherland, Sutherland, just like the actor Donald Kiefer, just not related. But so I'm actually the house up there to the left of the caddy corner from Mr. Burlingame. I just want to say that the structure is a well-presented structure. It looks good. It adds value to our neighborhood and our properties. At this point, to have him then tear it down and move it would be a travesty, seeing as this was a purchase from the property owner with the complaint. If it was that big of a deal when he started laying the structure, I mean, it was 2 or 3 weeks where he had the stakes in the ground showing where the property was going to go or where the building was going to go. There was plenty of time before anything was poured or done to bring this up between 2 grown men and have a conversation and an honest perspective of, hey, we might need to look at the property lines. That was never done until after it was already built, which doesn't seem in good faith of buying a property from someone and trying to have an honest approach together, right? So, but as a community member in the subdivision, it adds value to our properties, and then to have it torn down and moved or anything like that would just hurt everyone's property values for a while, and also wouldn't be, in my eyes, proper in an agreement between 2 people buying the property. That would be pretty easy to understand. If Mr. Vaughn lived in California and wasn't there every day, it'd be different. But he is there every single day, drives through there every day with his white F-250 and his 2 dogs in the back. So he saw it plenty of times, could have made the complaint before the building was constructed. So that would be my opinion if you guys cared for that. So thank you.
Good thoughts. Thank you. Yes, sir. Come on.
My name is Jose Green. I live at 14412 Ramsey Oaks. I'm the property directly to the south of Mr. Burlingame, the next door neighbor, which you see on the corner there. And I don't know what else I can say that Mr. Sutherland didn't just say as far as the neighborhood goes. Since Mark and his family moved into our neighborhood about 1.5 years ago, great relation with him. I've had dealings with Mark and haven't had any issues. The building itself, if I know it's not your responsibility or whatever, but if you were to see it, you would see that it does help. It's nice. I'm glad that he's put it there. I'm glad that it's in. I would hate to see, for some of the same reasons, would hate to see it disappear. And I hope you can see that. I refer to it as the existing building, but to the best of my knowledge, none of this came to light until the building was in fact there. And that's what I would say on that.
Thank you.
I could just reply.
Could you come up to?
Yeah.
we have an ordinance that says what you have to do to get a building permit. And part of that's getting a survey. If you get a survey, you'll avoid this kind of problem. That's the property owner's obligation under the ordinance. If you're going to enforce the ordinance, he should have gotten a survey. He didn't get it. He didn't submit a proper site plan. He didn't comply with any of the requirements to get this building permit. It's not Mr. Vaughn's fault that he didn't do those things. That was what the statute required. And there was no inspections either. You know, you get an inspection, you put your lines down, and before you pour anything, you get an inspection from the county. There were no inspections done either. So it's not anybody's fault but Mr. Burlingame's. He didn't comply with what the statute required him to do, the ordinance required him to do. And it's not anybody else's fault but his. And to avoid these kinds of situations, that's why we have all the requirements in the ordinance. So he's not entitled to the variance by the language of the ordinance. So if you grant him the variance, you're violating our own ordinance. So, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think we've heard everyone on either side of the issue. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? If not, then let's take it up and make a determination.
I'll make a motion on it if the board wishes. I'll make a motion, we uphold the Planning Commission's decision on variance 09-2023-00137.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I will second it. Is there any discussion or further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Mr. President, I'm gonna abstain from voting on the fact that if there's no professional survey done determining where the property line is versus where this building is, it's hard for me to make a decision. So I'm gonna abstain from voting because who knows where this building is unless you have a professional survey done showing the actual measurement of existing property lines based on where this building is in conjunction with those property lines. I'm going to abstain from voting on that comment there.
Okay, I'll tell you what, let's do a roll call. Mr. Cumbus, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Ross?
Aye.
Mr. Beausarge is negative.
Abstain.
Abstained, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Everybody got that? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Okay, we will go to item 13, the second item, item B, Singing River Services Annual Report.
Presentations don't always provide viewable details.
Hello, hello. Hey, how you doing?
Thank you.
What you want to, you want to take care of that? You want to take care of this, or you want me to? Where's that? Okay. All right. right, I wanted to introduce Mr. Jason Ferguson, who's with me today. He's our new Chief Financial Officer. Wanted to notate, it's probably been a little over a year and a half since we presented, since Single River Services presented. Since that time, we have 2 new commissioners, an entire new advisory board, a new attorney, and a new CFO. We have received our ARPA funding. We had applied for it 2 years ago, that we finally were awarded that in October of this year. Also, since the last time that we met, we have trained 40 law enforcement in Jackson County with CIT, the Crisis Intervention Team Training. One of the goals for this year is to have a single point of entry. And we have been chosen, Region 14, as a pilot site from Departmental Health for the CCBHC planning grant funding that they received. What you have in front of you is about the services we've provided over in past fiscal year. You can see that about 62% of the services we provided are for mental health. That's for adult and children. 16% for the intellectually and developmentally disabled, and 22% for alcohol and drug services. And this is just for Jackson County. And I'll just leave it there for a minute, unless if you have any questions about anything.
Yeah, how many officers y'all trained this year?
Right at 40, 39 in Jackson County. That's across all law enforcement agencies.
Right.
So that includes all of them: Pascagoula, Ocean Springs, Goshen, Moss Point, and the Sheriff Department. I'll let you move it. Usually have one of those pointers. The next slide is specific to Jackson County as well, the county funds and where those have gone over the past 3 years. What we look at is where there is a deficit in funding, those funds are applied to that deficit in the various programs. The next is our budget. Of course, remember, it is a projected budget. So for the next fiscal year, it's a little over $10 million. It is a little less than last fiscal year. That is because one of our federal grants that we had ended in February. That grant was what we call a CCBHCE grant, which is a Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic Expansion Grant. That was a grant that we had that was $2 million for 2 years, so a total of $4 million. That grant ended in February. We do currently have a CCBHCIA grant, which is an Implementation and Advancement Grant. So that we had a little dip in the projected budget. These are our expenses. As you can see, 71% of our budget is personnel. That's what a community mental health center does. You know, we provide services. And 22% contractual, which we have a breakdown of what that is towards the end of the slides, and commodities, equipment, and travel. The revenues, 56% of our revenue is grant. We currently have 41 grants. Keep in mind that even though 56% of our budget is grant, that does not mean that they're all expended, meaning that some of those grants, if you don't fill a position, then you may not use that grant. We have grants that are fee-for-service and cost reimbursement. So, for example, all our alcohol and drug services grants are fee-for-service. So Last year, for instance, we expended those funds early in the year. By February, we had depleted all our grant money for alcohol and drug services. So that doesn't mean that we quit providing those services. We continued on without any funding. We have other grants that are cost reimbursement that may pay for positions and also what we call purchase of service. So that's another fee-for-service grant. 34% is projected for Medicaid reimbursement, and then you can see the county funds, patient fees, and other. This is a breakdown. I think last time I was here, someone asked that we break this down specifically of what's on our contractual. What you see highlighted in yellow is 100% covered in grant funds. So like that, the most expensive one at the top, the grant evaluators and technical assistance, that is a requirement of one of our federal grants that we have. So meaning if we didn't have that grant, of course we wouldn't have that expense, and then it's 100% funded by the grant. In the light blue is partially covered by grants. And then we also broke down our personnel expenses. I think that may have been a question from this group last time. So 65% is our professional staff. That's our clinical staff that provide services. 22% support staff and 13% admin.
Again, like Ms. Finnegan mentioned, these are our budgeted expenses and revenues for the year. We are evaluating those, reviewing those. We've got, like I said, grants that have been awarded based on our ability to obtain workforce and meet those needs of the community and provide the services to get reimbursed. This budget may be less or more depending on those grants that come in. And we continue to pursue grants and work toward grants. We've got, several that we're working toward, trying to meet some criteria, provide cost of historical data to look at future services needs and see what these grants can provide on those costs. Beth, the ARPA proceeds you mentioned, have we received those or are those just awarded?
We've received some. We just got awarded in October, so some of those services we have provided since July, so we actually submitted those cash requests and did get some reimbursement.
So what was the ARPA proceeds for, primarily?
Various things. One, which we have not, well, actually we do, a court liaison is one. So we have somebody that has been in that position, and actually, we've always had a person that attends Chancery Court for 20 plus years, but there was a funding for it with the ARPA funding. And we were able to go back to July and submit that as one. There was some, for our mobile crisis, there was ARPA. We put in there to hire a CIT coordinator and a crisis therapist, an additional crisis therapist. Of course, we have the CSU ARPA funding to allow us to increase, from an 8-bed facility to a 16-bed facility.
Have you got any of that money yet?
We have not, it was awarded. We have not submitted anything on a cash request.
Okay.
Could that be used to help fund our project, Josh, or?
I think it could be used to offset, like, wasn't there a lot of furniture and stuff like that?
The plan, yes, that's what it was for. We put personnel, I believe, in there, and the furniture, because we, of course, have the 8-bed facility currently, so it would be to buy all the furniture and everything that's needed for 16-bed.
And you talked to Matthew about that, right? Because ours was awarded today, the contract on that CSU.
Yes, actually, Departmental Health had contacted me last week to find out what the status was, and I let them know that I'd be here today and I have to update them. So that is something that, as far as we have to start spending some of that money, before the end of the fiscal year. Of course, that ARPA funding is over a period of several years. So I'll let them know where we are on that.
Yeah, I think it was a 12-month.
I believe that's right. So it was awarded today. There'll be some time to get everything in place before they get started and we start contract time, but it was awarded today.
Okay, and I'll update them on that.
Grants that you receive, are there match requirements associated with those grants? Are they 100%?
I don't know that we have any match requirements, actually. We used to have that a lot,
That's
but we
good.
don't. No.
Yeah.
Um,
Welcome, Jason. I mean, I think you've been on board about 30 days, maybe?
Just over 30 days.
So, yeah, it may take him
He's
a little.
learning a lot, Beth.
And as Beth said, there's a new board, there's a new CFO, there's new attorneys, there's new audit firms, Beth, I think, still kind of, in her role, maybe 18 months or so. As
Yeah.
executive
It
director.
was July 1st of last year.
So there's been a lot of moving parts going on, for sure. But, it's still this region, it faces a lot of challenges. I was newly appointed on this board in July, and you can see where all the money's going to personnel and chasing grants. Singing River Services is no different than Singing River Hospital when it comes to having to hire professionals. Nursing cost, therapist cost, everything is going up. Well, Medicaid has not went up during that time. So, I think if you look at our financials, we've got less than 30 days cash on hand. So it's a very tight budget. And
Will the governor's plan with CMS, will that affect any?
That's inpatient stay, so I'll let Beth answer that. I'm not sure.
So Departmental Health was granted what they call a CCVHC planning grant. What that is, it looks at a prospective pay system for reimbursement for Medicaid. So Region 14 was picked as a pilot site, as well as one other region, Region 6. So it's a very tedious process we've been doing for a while. I know since you've gotten here, but even before you got here. And what it's looking at is our actual cost to provide services. So what's supposed to happen, July 1st, those two pilot sites will receive cost reimbursement based on the actual cost of the services. So we have been working with Medicaid, with the team at Departmental Health. They look at everything that goes into a cost of a service. So whereas now you just get the Medicaid rate. And we had some Medicaid rates that actually increased in July 1st. I think there was a 7-point-some-odd% increase in some Medicaid reimbursement, which is the first in a very long time. However, the reason that Departmental Health applied for that grant, that CCVHC planning grant, was because, as we know, there's been 4 regions that have dissolved into other regions over the last years, and a lot of that's funding, were inadequately funded. So they applied for that grant for the sustainability of mental health services in Mississippi. So what it does is once they determine what our prospective pay rate will be, and that's specific to each mental health center. So what our rate would be is different from what Region 6 rate would be. And when a Medicaid recipient came to our facility, you would get a rate, whatever that rate is determined for each encounter that person comes into our facility for services. For certain services, it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't cover residential. But our typical services like seeing a doctor, therapy, our day programs, our community support services, things like that. So we'll know more.
And we've met with them pretty much weekly, working on this rate, going off on our audited financials in previous years and working towards the new audited financials to try to make sure we capture that rate, consider all the increases in pay for these higher professionals that are in the industry to help us be competitive, provide the best services to the community. So we're just continually evaluate that and working toward in the spring and the summer to have that rate identified to encompass all of the costs. As we all know, that goes into the function of everything.
Yeah, so there's some programs that you can break even at, some programs you lose money at, and some programs you make money at. You got to be really efficient in the ones that you make money at to offset some programs. for instance, if a therapist is going to see somebody and they're going to their house, well, you're paying that therapist, but you can't charge Medicaid for travel time. Or if you get there and they're not home, or they cancel on you, well, you're still paying that employee, but there's no reimbursement gonna come in for them. So you have those areas that, I mean, you gotta provide them, right? But you gotta really make sure you're efficient in some areas. And I think one last meeting, y'all discussed one area that generally does show a margin, which would help the system, which is where y'all go out to the schools and provide services to the children.
Well,
right?
it's day treatment.
Day treatment. Well, I don't even know if that's even going on in Jackson County anymore, is it? Or if it is, it's a very small program, but we may need the help from the supervisors or talking to the superintendents of schools, because most of the time the children always qualify for Medicaid reimbursement. But I think the issue comes that sometimes as schools say they don't have the space for the.
Well, we go into the schools, therapists and our community sports specialists, and they see the children while they're at school. Day treatment is a program where it can be either 2 to 5 hours a day, depending. It's usually 5 hours during the summer months and 2 hours during school, but they have a room there available for us it's a master's level therapist and an aide that does a day treatment class for up to 10 children. And it's, of course, children that are having difficulty with siblings at home, with other, school, following the rules, those kinds of things, various different behavior issues, and they allow us to do that program in the schools, which in Jackson County we've done mainly in our office in the past, and other places. There was a time that we went to Civic Action and used their facility after they were done. So it's kind of, over the years, have been in different spots, but ideally it's in the schools, yes. And that is one of the programs that has a little bit of margin.
Right.
To being in the schools, travel and trying to get the children to places that they need to be, it's more adequate to see them there, able to capture them there, provide the services in a good environment that's safe and comfortable.
Right, I couldn't imagine that not being needed at almost every school. I mean, with the issues children face today, so we need to partner with these schools and start trying to get that program.
The chamber's been working on some programs too to try to integrate some mental health issues back into the schools, and have been working with the superintendents on that. I don't know how different that is than what y'all are talking about here, but it may be worth a conversation.
I know the school system is doing their own things too with mental health, obviously. We do have a new children's director that's probably started.
Same as me, about a month.
Well, maybe even less than you. So we're hopeful in that respect. He's somebody that used to work as a counselor in the school system in Jackson County, so we're hoping that will help. We do go to all those area council meetings, especially when we know the superintendents are there, and we have a regional children's director that's made contact with all of them. But yes, it's a continuous relationship.
Have you heard of the Hope Squad, I think, is what they're.
I have not heard of it. And I was attending a lot of those area council meetings, but I have not been able to in the past few months.
You may reach out to Paige and just see what that's about.
Yeah. Do they have programs where, like, folks go out to the schools and make sure the teachers and the administrators have some type of awareness of what kind of things to try to, because, a lot of times the kid that's misbehaving isn't really,
right.
There's something going on in their brain,
right.
And they're acting up because of that, not because they're necessarily bad.
Right.
If you learn how to steer that or develop it the right way, then that child might become the smartest one in the room. We just need to figure it out. Is there like an outreach to schools, or?
We have what they call mental health first aid trainers, and we do provide various trainings. We have offered that in the schools. We have offered it, I think the last one we had maybe was at the Chamber of Commerce, and they usually invite all the educators to participate in that because it is free of charge training. So yes, we do have it. Of course, whenever, unfortunately, there is a tragedy in a school, we always reach out to that school to offer our counselors to come, to be available to anybody that needs them during those times and any other time that they want education, you know, suicide prevention, different things about bullying, all the, so yes, we do have it available.
Yeah, but I mean, you need professionals to go into these schools and provide these positions, and this what's, I mean, the pay is in this field, it's very, if you get a good person, it's like they leave you in a very short amount of time, so it's hard to retain good staff, and that's why it's important that the county and Singing River Services and George County have a good relationship to work together and partners. That's the only way this thing can be successful. And I know this board has supported a resolution 2 years in a row to try to raise the number of board members, and I continue to plead with the board, even though I'm the one of the two now. A two-member board, just, to me, it can't operate efficiently like that. You need more oversight. You need, you know, I may have the accounting brain, but you may have you need the healthcare brain on there also. And, you know, it's simple as something, we have a 2 o'clock call today, but if we disagree on what time the call is, I mean, you can't pass a motion. I mean, I just don't believe boards should operate with a 2-person board, so.
Why aren't we changing that?
This board's asked for it 2 years in a row, but we've failed to get the legislation passed.
And we've even come up with ways to say it could be a joint appointee for that third member.
Yeah.
Something where they're more majority of their board and a majority of us, you know, something where you have to have, you know, out of 10 people, you gotta have at least 6 or 7. Whatever that number needed to be, I'd be good with that.
Right, and the other issue is, I mean, you need at least, I mean, I think you gotta have an odd number, and you need 5 people. But you also gotta get people from George County that wants to, I mean, it's not easy to, I mean, I know our board's not currently not paid, but you've got to get people from George County to drive down to Jackson County to volunteer to serve on this board. So you've got challenges there too. Yeah.
Does that involve any of y'all, the issue of what the board should be? Is that an issue between the county supervisors and the legislature?
Well, I think it should. I think it's the statute, right? And I think you guys have asked for it to be changed twice. I mean, I can ask for our board to pass a resolution saying that Singing River Services supports it too, but I mean, I don't know if that will pass or not. But
I mean, where are they though? I mean, I'm not even asking for an additional appointment for any. It could be a joint appointment as far as I don't know about everybody else. But if there's a way we can work out a mechanism where both counties agree on that third member, that could at least give us 3 members.
Are we saying George County is refusing? The legislature is taking no action. Why? Because George County?
Well, they're not gonna do it if George County's not in favor of it also. So it'd have to be something that Jackson County and George County were both in favor of. And then you'd probably have to have somebody like the Mental Health Board or others that would be in support of it as well. So, I mean, it's not an easy fix, or at least it hadn't been for the last 2 years.
Have we had discussions?
Yes.
With George County supervisors?
from my understanding is they just don't want Jackson County to have more say than they have. You know, so that's why Troy's going back to maybe that's a rotating board member, maybe.
We could do that too. It could rotate. But I'm good. If there's a way that you can combine the votes and say they need it, you got to get to 6, whether it's 5 and 1 or 4 and 3, whatever it is. I mean, I think putting a third member is worth compromising on it to just be able to have 3 people on there.
Something we need to keep exploring.
Yeah, it's just something we got to continue to look at, continue to talk about. I mean, we have the sheriff he's an advisory board member. He's coming to the meetings, but I mean, advisory people don't vote. So, you know, and it's good to have the sheriff in there because he deals with a lot of the mental health crises in the county.
What is the percentage of treatment, if that's the right word, for citizens of George County versus Jackson County? What is the percentage of money that we give them versus George County?
I'll let them defer to the treatment. I mean, Jackson County gives 400,000, George County gives 40,000. Jackson County also just approved today, almost a $3 million project to help them, which Jackson County will completely fund, so, but as far as the number of people, Beth, you may have kind of an idea on how that's relatively split out.
Well, of course, we presented to George County Board of Supervisors, so we, of course, had a similar presentation. It is, population, you look at the population of both counties, there's almost 150 in Jackson and, 25,000 in George County. So, that's how all the regions were developed, I guess, were based on, I think that's how they originated. Why we originated as two counties, I think it had to do with population of those counties at the time. Where you have some of these bigger regions and they have, lower populations in some of the more rural counties. What I've heard, and this is not, of course, this is something that is decided on amongst the Board of Supervisors, is that if y'all both agreed on the same thing, something may go forward. So just, what I hear people saying is, they want equal representation just because one county's smaller or bigger. So I don't, if both counties, Board of Supervisors agreed on something, then I don't know if you have to have legislation.
Yes, you do.
If you have other regions with 4 or 5 counties, is that possible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do have other.
How are the votes?
Well, it's statute, like you were saying, to have one commissioner's appointed.
Per county.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon?
One representative, one board member per county.
Okay.
And we only have
So
2
we
counties.
need more counties, and is what we really need.
I don't know, we may just need 1 county, we may not need 2. If we just look on population-wise, if we got 145,000 people, and George County, say, has 25,000 people, that's about 17%, almost 18% of our population. And so if you pro rata share, George County should be putting up around 70,000 instead of 40,000. So, we're putting in more than our fair share. I don't know how the treatment piece of it is, and like Josh says, we're also building a $3 million CSU out there that will benefit both counties. So it's kind of lopsided.
Yeah, but they seem pretty satisfied with their services up there, so they're like, why change anything?
They should, I guess.
25 to 17.
Well, we've got to decide, do we take this on as an issue or not?
Well, we have, and I recommended that you continue, I know it's outside, this is outside Beth and Jason's
Sure.
thing, but since they're here, I still believe a 2-person board's not proper oversight for any entity, So.
Well, then I suggest we have some kind of a meeting with the George County Board some way, somehow, somewhere, and bring the issue up and see if we can't work together to fix it. And it's going to be difficult to do, apparently, because it seems like they're very happy. They're getting basically a free ride.
Yep.
Well, can you just start your own, or do you have to join another region?
We already are in this region. so
Right, I know
We would
that.
have to get out of the region if we wanted to be on our own, which is not easy. The property and all that stuff is owned by the organization. So, anyway, so there's a lot more to it. But
Okay.
I think you're right, maybe it is time to have another conversation with them.
Well, we need,
See if we get
whether
anywhere.
something's hard or not, we need to know what the options are so that we can lay it all on the table.
It'd have to be
If
a
you don't lay it all,
legislative
if you don't lay
fix.
it on the table, then people don't understand what you're willing to do. I think we ought to have the options laid out. What would it take to become another region? What would that take? What would it take to join another region? And then we can lay all the options on the table.
That's April. So,
Okay, well,
yeah.
kind of sidetracked y'all a little bit there. I had one question. Let me see if I can get back to it. Singing River Services, FY '24 budgeted expenses, it looks like roughly 7.5 million is, and that's about 75% for personnel. If you go over to the tab sheet that says professional fees, consultants, legal fees, professional fees and that is $1 million. What is the difference in personnel of 7 million and professional fees, consultants of 1 million? What is that other 6 million? It looks like you have
Personnel's employees. Professional fees and consultants are contracts, consultants. They're not employees of the.
Oh, okay, these are not people.
Correct.
The million is contracted people. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Grant evaluation, evaluators and technical assistants, 47% of the contracted people work on grant evaluations.
That is a requirement of our federal grant that we have. So that is a turnaround achievement network is what that is. That's one cost. And if we did not have that federal grant, which this is a requirement of, that would not be an expense. It's also 100% grant funded.
Okay. But earlier, you have most of your income is from grants.
Correct.
So I would think that would be one of the most significant expenses that you have, most critical, the best people that you can find anywhere whose job is to go out and get grants. Most of the grants are federal?
No, we only have 2 federal grants.
Really? Okay.
Well, Departmental Health gets the federal grants, then they're filtered down to the mental health centers. So a lot of theirs are federal grants, but they receive the funds and then we apply, each region applies or not, and the money's filtered down to the mental health centers.
Grants you do not go after.
We have 2 currently that we have right now. And we did, prior to COVID, because our money situation is what it is now is kind of what it was prior to COVID. So that's why we went directly for some federal grants. And we received that CCBHC grant, the Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinic Expansion Grant. That was our first federal grant. Since then, we've gotten the other 2, the Community Mental Health Center grant, which was also a federal grant that we applied directly for, and then currently we have the CCBHC-IA. And those are the most, I mean, they're both, millions of dollars, so that takes without those, it would be significantly lower.
Yeah. But you agree those are critically important positions that get you 70% of your revenue.
That's right.
Okay. If you look at the big picture, $440,000 is peanuts in their total world.
True.
Really?
Yeah, but it makes a big difference on being able to retain staff, because you only have probably currently 100 to 150 employees. So, $1 an hour goes a long way in retaining them employees. And, if you don't have good employees, you can't bill, you don't bring any of the grant money in. So, a lot depends on your staff.
Right.
It's a tough field to be in.
And I'll add to this line, those grant evaluators help to make sure we're in line with our reporting for those federal dollars, to make sure all that information aligns and there's no kickback or no issues or errors.
Okay. Anything else? We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you gonna spread this on the minutes?
Yes.
Sure. Let's have a motion to spread this annual report onto the minutes, please. Need a motion? I will make the motion. Need a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, item C, Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation's training facility for blind individuals. Have y'all survived up to this point and ready to present?
I don't think they're here, Ken.
No.
Not here?
Not here.
Okay. Pine Bur Area Council presentation, Boy Scouts.
Good morning. We did survive, so thank y'all for y'all's time this morning. Did y'all all receive copies of our proposal? Okay. I've got a couple of copies I can pass around.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Micah Huffman. I have the pleasure of serving our council as the Assistant Scout Executive of our operations. And this is Johnny Pearson. Most of y'all probably know him. Johnny's here local in Jackson, Georgia, and Greene counties as our Singing River District Executive. Scouting is in a fantastic spot right now. This morning we sit currently 16% growth since 2021 in all of our programs across our 17 counties. Johnny's going to be able to give you some more local numbers here in just a minute. But scouting's in a really great opportunity with our growth since 2021. We've got over 900 adult volunteers. We're continuing to build back into our communities. One of our largest growing areas across our entire council is our Scout Reach program, which serves at-risk, low-income areas, and we've grown that over by 36% thanks to areas of support across our 17 counties. 42 scouts have earned the rank of Eagle. Of course, you have our Pride and Joy Camp Teoc, which is just up the road in Wiggins, Fruitland Park area. It's at the border of Forest and Stone counties. A lot of investment gone into that this year and over the last 6 years with no debt to the council. Have a lot of active units and active troops across our council with a lot of nights camped, attending Camp Teoc and various other camps. But the biggest thing is just the support that we have from our communities. We have an outstanding executive board, and the mission of scouting is still happening, to prepare young people for life. And that's what our mission is, in short, is to make sure we have outstanding programs for our young people. And we're continuing to grow. We've got a lot of plans. Since COVID, our goal has been to grow our traditional programs, Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA, to get the kids on their way to Eagle Scout. That's our goal, is for every kid that joins the program. We know that doesn't happen. It's still 2 to 4% of kids that join scouting get to Eagle Scout, but we want to make sure we provide the best program possible. That's not possible without y'all's support, which has been fantastic over the last several years, and then our 900 adult volunteers who help make scouting possible. Johnny's going to share some quick numbers locally.
So, I'm the Singing River District Executive. I cover Jackson, George, and Greene County. I have a total of 22 units spread throughout those counties. In Jackson County alone, I have 18 units consisting of Cub Scout packs and troops. Out of those, Cub Scouts, which is K through 5, we're looking at 331 scouts in Jackson County. That's between East Central, Pascagoula, Ocean Springs, all the way to St. Martin. And then we have a total of 121 Scouts BSA, that's boys and girls, spread throughout Jackson County. We have had 7 Eagle Scouts for the class of 2023, and overall, our district, which covers all 3 counties, are up to 540 Scouts in total. And we still have room to grow. We're still trying to build a ship for Sea Scouts, and we're trying to do a couple crews and a couple posts here with Pascagoula and in Ocean Springs.
So I've told Johnny since he started 2 years ago with us, or a year ago? Year ago. Seems like it's been longer. I've been in South Mississippi for a little over 3 years. One of the crying shames is that we don't have a Sea Scout ship, which kind of operates like the Coast Guard a little bit. It's got a great program there. So if you're tied to any yacht clubs that may be interested, please send that information to Johnny. We're really interested in getting a Sea Scout ship that in some ways is similar to scouting, but has a fantastic program there with our beautiful coast as well. But you can see in there the proposal for this year is still somewhat the same. We did add one request of $500, which is our Eagle Scout sponsor, for our Eagle banquet sponsor, which would be recognition during that program for the Board of Supervisors and their support, not only for the Eagle Scouts here in Jackson County, but for Eagle Scouts all across our council as well. Any questions?
Isn't that $500 fair game for a advertising county resources?
That's kind of what they did. They bundled all these into
all into one.
advertising
Yes.
county resources instead of going for each one.
Yeah.
Y'all traditionally done 6 and then, or 5 and then 6, and then we did ask about the additional as well.
What's the request before the board?
The 6,500.
It's 4 different advertising county resources, and they bundle it into a package.
That's right.
At one time.
And then it's also lists y'all as what we call our Eagle Club, which is $5,000 and up, which is spread throughout all 17 of our counties. And there's only, when you look at Board of Supervisors, there's only at least 2 that get a 5,000, Forest County and Jackson County.
It's a good program. Y'all been at it for a long time down here.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the program's been going for a long time. Yep.
All right, so what are we doing today? Are we approving, accepting? What are we doing?
I assume y'all are gonna approve it.
Pardon?
Okay.
Approve it or act on it somehow.
Make a motion to approve it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request. We need a second. Motion by Mr. Cumbus,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you, Mr. Bosarge.
Thank you.
I voted aye.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
If y'all ever needed any help, service projects in y'all's areas, please reach out to Johnny. We'll make sure Mr. Cole has our opportunity. Always looking for service back to our community. But thank y'all for y'all's support.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You get a perseverance award.
That's all right. Thank you.
Okay. Did the Mississippi Department of Rehab join us? Nope. Okay, we'll move on then. We were in action item state. Did you finish that?
I think we covered most of it. The only other thing I wanted to mention was the flood map meeting that's tomorrow at Fountain Blue Community Center at 9 a.m. SMPDD is hosting that there, and it'll be an opportunity for anyone to get a look at maybe what the new maps might look like for Jackson County and the coast, and before they're sent up to FEMA.
Okay. All right, let's move to item 15, supervisor items, District 1, Mr. Cumbest.
I didn't have anything.
Mr. Morris, you have an item?
Yes, I have a resolution of reappoint Ms. Rachel Carpenter to the Mississippi Gulf Coast Board of Trustees.
Okay, and that is a motion. Need a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Bossarge. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I have none. Mr. Ross?
None.
Mr. Bossarge?
None.
Okay, we now need to have a motion to go into closed session to determine if we need to have an executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cumbest, seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We are in closed session. And I'm gonna top off my call.
Sheriff, come for Singing River Services. Are we gonna do Singing River Services or